and thanks for joining us on Aviator World, your regular program where we bring you developments in Nigeria's aviation sector. But as you can see on this edition, we are doing it a little different, moving out of the studio. My name is Ehidu Anego. On this edition, we shall be taking a look at developments in the sector in the last 1 year. Have we been able to move from where we were as of December 2012, or we are still on the same spot? And our guest on the program today is Nigeria's Aviation Minister, Princess Stella Oduah. Madam, you're welcome to Aviator World.
Thank you very much.
But at this juncture, we'll take a break to take a look at this very important issue that Nigerians have been talking about, and that is Aerotropolis, which is about building airport cities around the airport. And when we come back, we will talk straight and go straight into the points.
As humanity evolves, new ways of living and modification of man's habitat becomes a necessity. Environment, the most important element of urbanization, is the meeting point of cities and their citizens. The aviation industry, being a catalyst for socio-economic development and growth, is beginning to shape economic activities alongside urbanization, as can be observed in the developed world with a concept called Aerotropolis.
If you look at countries like Dubai, South Africa, you can see the role that aviation plays. And indeed, everything about aviation and within aviation is commerce. You'll be amazed the job that aviation will create, the commerce that it will generate, and the activity itself. But beyond that, it's the metropolis we're adding, which gives us the aerotropolis that will manifest in having clusters of commercial activities all over the airport city itself.
Aerotropolis Nigeria is now being developed to link mixed-use urban infrastructure and industrial layouts to physical airports in Abuja, Lagos, Kano, and Port Harcourt.
The Nigerian Aerotropolis is a key element of our national transformation plan, and it is our way of ensuring that the airports finally begin to impact significantly on the economic environment in which the airports are.
In an effort at making Aerotropolis Nigeria a reality, the Minister of Aviation, Princess Stella Oduah, embarked on an investment drive in order to enable increased private sector participation in the proposed Aerotropolis.
For investors, we have huge and different compartments of opportunities for your appetite. We're here to showcase to you these investment opportunities. We're here to seek for your collaboration. We're here to showcase to you that investing in Nigeria aviation is the best investment you can think of today and in future.
The investment drive is yielding the desired result, as a number of global players in the aviation industry have showed practical interest. Hence, the ongoing remodeling and reconstruction of airports across Nigeria is to serve as a bridge where urban centers and industrial parks merge with the airports.
Air traffic is increasing more and more, and our airports, rather than just being the place where people hop in and out of airplanes, they should be the center of economic development. And that's what the Aerotropolis is about. It's really to build a connection between the rest of the world, between major cities, for cargo and for passengers, and for towns and cities to develop around it.
Several other efforts of the Jonathan administration in the aviation sector in Nigeria, such as the development of perishable cargo terminals, bilateral air service agreements, and the signing of memoranda of understanding as it concerned the building of new airports in Abuja, Lagos, Kano, and Enugu, are geared towards ensuring aviation in Nigeria is a revenue earner for government.
You're welcome back. And as I said earlier, our guest today on the program is Nigeria's Aviation Minister, Princess Stella Oduah. Madam, first of all, let's say Happy Christmas, and the New Year is also around the corner.
Very Merry Christmas to you.
Nigerians will want to know what has it been like in the last 1 year, looking back from January 2013, this is December. Would you say we have made progress, or we are still where we were?
In aviation, we have made huge progress we've been able to accomplish the milestones we set out to accomplish. Particularly, if you recall, we started with a master plan, a very robust master plan that had well articulated roadmap on how we can and should transform the sector. And so we followed it to the letter, and where we had to build up, we built up, but the result of what we did, it's not imaginary, it's what everybody can see. And so you have literally all terminals transformed from how they used to be. Remember how our terminals used to be? They used to be like cattle ranches, cattle houses, and all that. Very terrible states they were. But the kind of president we have happens to be a man that is very visionary, has a strategic way of doing things, and is developmental inclined. And so for him, development must be mainstreamed. And so taking that to aviation, he insisted that we must have clear vision on exactly what we needed to do. And for us to do that, we needed to have a diagnostic analysis of the sector, and we did that.
So what we're saying is that you didn't just jump into the remodeling that you talked about?
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. In fact, the major diagnostic report we had was done by World Bank. And so World Bank did a very analytical diagnostic of the sector. And Pricewaterhouse did the same thing. And we did in-house retreats and brainstorming. And coupled with Mr. President's vision, we came up with a very robust master plan that helped us, indeed guided us on what we had to do. So I call it our A to Z on what we must do to transform aviation sector.
I recall that in 2012, so much was done in trying to go around the country, touch about 22 federal airports. Did you continue with that, or just like the Nigerian thing, a flash in the pan?
No, when you do have a master plan, you cannot have a disconnect. You have to take it serially like that. And that is what is very, very interesting about aviation master plan and reform. Our reforms were tailored based on the challenges, based on the fact that Mr. President wanted to mainstream aviation to be a catalyst for the economic and social reform of Nigeria, and most importantly, to be pivotal to our social economic growth.
It is not unusual for politicians, somehow you may say you're not a politician, but you're occupying a political position, to play politics with federal projects. And I do know that somebody like the governor of Rivers State did raise the issue that while you were very busy building the airports of those states that support Mr. President, you decide to ignore those states that maybe somehow are not friends of Mr. President.
Because I'm well brought up, I don't want to say he's a liar, because it means I am being abusive, but he's being economic with the truth. If you go to Port Harcourt today, Port Harcourt has one of the best terminal, and what we did was divide it because of the resources, A and B. We've done the A part of it, and we're currently embarking on the B. But apart from that, Port Harcourt is benefiting from the 4 international terminals. So we are doing a 40,000 passenger terminal in Port Harcourt. We are doing Pilgrim terminal in Port Harcourt. We are doing GAT terminal in Port Harcourt. We are doing perishable in Port Harcourt. And so aviation, it's not political. Aviation is about who we are. It's about what enhances us. It's about that will grow us economically and socially. You do not and cannot afford to play politics with such crucial sectors, and that's why it is excruciatingly painful when aviation and matters that pertain aviation is politicized. Aviation is too important, it's too crucial. It's about our lives. and should not and cannot, and we shouldn't encourage it to be politicized.
Would you say that all these efforts you've just mentioned, well, I also once in a while have the privilege of passing through the airport, so at least I do know that there's actually remarkable changes in terms of the look of the terminals. But to what extent would you say it affects the psyche of the average passenger, or it's just making it look flashy and at the end of the day, so much work but yet no movement?
Again, often we hear critics who want to play politics, overnight develop selective amnesia on what they see and how that impacts on their traveling experience. One of the reasons why terminal reform and rehabilitation is very crucial is that it is a front line of what airport it's all about. Therefore, it's important that we start from there. And it's not about aesthetics, it's about safety. It's indeed about security, because your first security starts from the terminal. That's where you put in your screening machines, that's where the passengers come, that's where the hygienic. So it's all about safety. Everything in aviation is about safety. It's about comfort of the passenger. It is about making traveling experience that is enjoyable, to the extent that traveling and air transportation becomes the best mode of transportation.
Well, we'll come back to this issue of safety that you raised. But before then, the issue of the rights of the passengers. If I want to board an airplane and it's scheduled for 2 p.m. and somehow by 5 p.m. I still find myself still wasting time in the airport. Maybe I have a meeting for 4 p.m. wherever I'm going to. Who takes care of that? How do I know that I have a right? That the airline that I have paid to take me to this from point A to point B ordinarily is not supposed to keep me for that length of time.
Let me start by saying that we do have what is called Passengers Bill of Rights.
On paper?
Not on paper, even implementation, but it's new. It wasn't there before. And it's such a very important document that we must implement. I mean, given that some airline operators who believe they are above the law, or they are connected, and so they cannot be in compliance. But we are saying no to that. A passenger must have value for their money, and part of it means that you must respect the passenger. You should not and cannot keep a passenger for more than a particular time. If for any reason technical, because it's a technical equipment, you have to keep the passenger there, there should be several things.
Reasonable explanation.
Exactly, and it should be acceptable explanation. But most importantly, you have to compensate the passenger, because it is their time and they could have gotten a better cost benefit for spending that time at the airport. They may just say, okay, I don't want to wait, let me go back to my office. And so they save money, and that becomes value that will accrue to them. So for us in aviation, it's not acceptable. But yes, it's been happening because we have challenges of not having sufficient aircraft, because we do have a seeming monopoly, but all these are temporary situations.
If they are temporary, are you doing anything to address it? Because
oh yes.
It's one thing to say it's temporary, it's another thing to be able to hit the field so that at the end of the day we will see it being addressed.
Well, it's temporary for several reasons. One is the fact that we have the Passengers Bill of Rights that we must implement, and so passenger will have increased impact, positive impact, and respect. Two is that government has a policy of going domestic airline. What that means is that you will have choice. If domestic carrier A doesn't give you the service, then you go to B. If B doesn't, you go to C. Number three is that we are doing interlining, which means that the one ticket you buy will give you access to all the aircraft, and any of the operators that fails to be part of this will have to penalize them or stop them from flying. Because I buy your ticket doesn't mean I'm stuck with you. I should have the flexibility to fly B or C. It is my money, therefore should be my choice.
Now let's come back to the issue of safety you raised a while ago. I recall not too long in the National Assembly, some persons did say, particularly shortly after the crash of Associated Airlines, that once Nigerians want to board a plane, they become prayer warriors. In which case, they are scared that they may just fly up there and before you know it, they are just down on the ground. How much confidence do you think you've been able to build either through the policies on ground or through your actions to ensure that even if it's important for them to pray, but that they don't just suddenly become prayer warriors because they are scared that they are going to fall any moment?
Well, I believe in God. I believe whatever we do, God must be prioritized. And so for that, if we are flying, if we are driving, we must pray to God. Being prayer warrior is a good thing and we should encourage that. But coming to aviation, Nigerian aviation in particular, Charles, we are number 12. We have been scored to be above average.
This
Unprecedented.
number you're talking, is it like the numbers you have in the football? What's number 12?
No. Number 12 means we ranked the 12 best, the 12 safest country. It also gave us...
West Africa?
No, in Africa. In Africa, and that's huge. That's coming from 60 to 12. That's a jump. Number 2, we're scored to be above average. Actually, we're scored to be about 65, and we're still growing. 3.
Who is doing this scoring? Politicians?
Not politicians. It's ICAO. You can Google it and you can see it. It's not Nigeria. It's not Africa. It's independent people that they don't know me, they don't know us. What they know is the track record, the equipment, and the impact. That's what they see. And actually, ICAO graded us to be one of the fastest growing safe aviation nation globally. That's wonderful. And don't forget, we produced the first black president of ICAO. And is as a result of the impact we have made in safety of aviation. But most importantly is the fact that government program of rehabilitation and reform and mainstreaming of aviation prioritize safety. And so if you take the airspace, our airspace is very, very safe.
Well, before we proceed with the airspace, I do know that one of the agencies under your close watch, NIMET, because to a very large extent, when we talk about NIMET, nobody knows whether it's under aviation or not. We do know that at a time when they predict that the rain is going to fall and say, take for instance in Lagos, if you just take your umbrella, it's just to prevent you from being beaten by the sun. But today, we do also know that if they say the rain is going to fall, you actually say that it falls. So to a very large extent, NIMET, most Nigerians believe, is doing and is actually doing the right thing. Can that be said of the other agencies?
Oh yes, definitely. In fact, to add to what you said about NIMET, NIMET is now ISO 9000 and never done, and none has it in Africa. 2, NIMET is able to stop what was the rampant cause of air accidents in the past. It used to be weather related, and so now you can have informed decision whether you should fly or not fly, because you'll be given the climate report, and as a pilot we mandate you that without that you will not get a startup, you will not fly. But if you collect and you stubbornly or for whatever reasons best known to you, you want to fly, we have given you the report, and so the decision becomes your decision and that of the company you work for. Now, NIMET is so critical and so catalytic to all that we do. If you're a farmer, you need weather reports. You need to know what period and what season, what time should you start farming and what crops should you start farming first. If you're a construction worker or owner, you will know when do you increase your construction time, because you don't want to be caught up by rain. And so anything and everything we do, even in our personal life, you want to know, should you go to a particular place without your umbrella? Should you go with a particular cab? Because the weather report will give you the informed report. And so whatever decision you take informed decision. And then you come to the operators themselves. It tells them exactly how to manage the weather situation, whether it is a thunderstorm, whether it is a wind shear. Everybody is traveling based on an informed decision. It's not, oh, that somebody told me it's raining there, or it may not rain there. And that's how critical aviation is to our everyday life.
You need to be precise.
We are extremely precise.
Now, let's come back to what you mentioned a while ago, that of ICAO. In the course of the year that we're taking a look at now, I also know that in Nigerian, Dr. Aliu Bernard was elected as the president of ICAO. Somebody will ask, how does that change the price of crayfish? What does it mean to us? You may just be occupying one position. What is the implication of that election, if you count it as part of some of the things you think you have recorded?
What it implies, and it is not subjective, what it implies is that Nigerian aviation has really emerged as one of the best aviation nations in the world. Two, it means that everything we do, we must do it in tandem with ICAO policy. We must be in compliance because we're leading. Whether we like it or not, Nigeria is leading aviation globally
so
today.
Must go to equity with hands.
Oh yes, we have to.
Now let's come back to the report we showed you a while ago, which has to do with the building of airport cities. Some persons find it very difficult to pronounce it. They say it's tongue twisting, Aerotropolis. I do know that not long ago you were summoned by the House of Representative members and somebody who is busy grabbing land in Abuja. Have you become a land merchant, or what is it all about that is making you to want to have more land for the aviation? After all, you're not in the Ministry of Agriculture.
Well, very interesting. Aviation is not about the terminals where passengers are put together and they fly from there. It's far more than that. And that is why government, in realization of that, is mainstreaming aviation, because aviation is commerce. Aviation, it's all about trading, it's about investment, it's about commerce. And in doing so, the word Aerotropolis is aero and tropolis. Tropolis meaning the bigger city, and the aero being the airport
You
itself.
want us to be like Dubai. Do you have the money?
We will be like Dubai. We will be like Dubai, and we do not require government money to be like Dubai. What we need is to have the enabling laws to do that. What we need is to have the vision. Mr. President has provided us that vision. Ours is to plug in all the plugs, and we will have that.
When you mentioned that we were going to have a national carrier, most Nigerians, they smiled, but nobody is saying the national carrier. Where is it?
The national carrier, actually, we would have had it by last month. Unfortunately, because we do not want to give what we promised with any defect at all. And so we encountered a challenge, and we went back to our drawing board to ensure that we tackled the challenge, and we're about coming out of it. But definitely Nigerians will get a national carrier, the one that they will be co-owners, the one that will be efficient, the one that will be very, very professionally and independently managed.
Finally, looking forward, looking ahead, 2014 is already here. What difference are you going to make so that Nigerians will say, thank God we have this person, or please, Mr. President, let this person go? What are we going to do so that as Nigerians begin to fly, they will begin to see a better experience and a better aviation sector?
Every Nigerian today who travels and is honest and is not political will say that aviation has never had it so good. Aviation cannot and will never be the same. One, the policies, we've changed the policy and make them implementable. We have reformed NCAA and we're still reforming NCAA. The terminal, which is what everybody sees, has changed. All the terminal, there is no terminal in Nigeria today that is the same. We've increased them most by 200%. We've changed the traveling experience. Now, you can't call it cosmetics. Cosmetics means you just paint over a problem.
And then when you decide to go into the bathroom, you wash it up.
Exactly. This is not so. We literally rebuilt the terminals.
What you've done is not washable.
It's not possible. It's not possible. We did a very good job, and by the way, done by Nigerians at a very cost-effective prices, never done before. Most of the terminals were projected to be done at 7 billion. We did none was above 600. Maximum of them was about 720. It's not done, and it was done in a record time. And then you take the safety equipments, take NAMA for instance. We've changed the navigational experience, the airspace experience. The pilots can talk to the towers and vice versa. You have total radar coverage, and most importantly, the airfield lighting, we're changing all of them, we're upgrading. The tarmac itself, we're upgrading them. We're making sure that all the crocodile webs, we're sealing them and we're recoating them. And when it comes to the runways, we're also working on them to make sure that the dilapidated state we met them does not remain as it were there. Then the grasses, the bushes, it's not the same. It can never be the same. Then the capacity, we're building the capacity to make sure we professionalize aviation, because you can do all you do. If you don't have the capacity to manage it, then you're back to square one. And all as we do, we make sure that we have backup maintenance. Then you take the lights. For the first time, we have operations that are almost 24 hours. Enugu, you can fly anytime. Most of the airports, we have 24 hours operation. All you need is to let us know that these are your flight time. This is your flight plan, and you get it. It was never done before.
I just wish to have all the time to continue to take a look at it. But I just also hope that in the nearest future we'll come back for us to take you up on some of these things that you've mentioned, so that Nigerians will have the benefit of understanding where you have made progress and where they think you also need to make more progress. Thank you very much for joining us on Aviator World.
Thank you very much. We look forward to that.
Thank you. Well, that's where we draw the curtain on this edition of Aviator World. And until next week, when we bring you another edition, please do have a seamless flying experience. My name is Ehidu Aniago.